Hello, NP3 mateys. My name is Chickenhead, but I'm not quite sure why they call me that. I think that maybe it's because I know everything there is to know about birds. So today, let's learn about a bird. Are you ready? Here we go. Now, raise your hand if you think this is a bird. You'd be correct if you think this isn't a bird. It's not a bird. It looks a lot like an elephant, but it's hairier, right? This isn't a regular elephant, though. This animal is named Mastodon, and it lived a very, very long time ago. At one time, many years ago, 40,000 years ago, in fact, you'd be able to see mastodons right here in Sacramento. But today, we don't see them because they are now extinct. Extinct means there aren't any of that type of animal left in the world. We won't see these ever again except in photographs, just like the dinosaurs. But I have to remember, I know all about birds, not mastodons. And when we look at this photograph of how things looked 40,000 years ago, here are the mastodons down here. If you look real close down here on the bottom right, you see the mastodons. But what do we have up here on the upper part of the screen and flying in the air? Looks like a bird to me. Today's lesson is about a very special bird, Chickenhead's favorite bird, in fact. The type of bird we'll learn about today is special for many reasons, one of them being that they were always here in California since all the way back 40,000 years ago at the same time that the mastodons were here and still here today. This bird is named the California condor. What makes this bird so special is not because it's the most beautiful bird, as you can see. One of the things that makes this bird so special is that unlike the mastodon and many other animals that are now extinct, the California condor can be seen today, flying wild, right here in the skies of California. But sadly, there was a time not so long ago that this wonderful bird almost became extinct too. Again, this means that the California condor came very, very close to completely disappearing from the world. Just think how sad that would be. So let me show you another reason why the condor is so special. When the condor flies, when it spreads its wings, it's like no other bird. So we got Chicken here. Now, when Chicken spreads his wingspan, which is the name of what you call a bird when its wings are out like this and it's flying, and when you measure from the tip to tip of each wing, you see that Chicken's wings are about 1 foot. This is a ruler, 12 inches. We all know what a ruler looks like, right? And while Chicken's wingspan is 1 foot, believe it or not, the California condor's wingspan is 10 feet. Now, let's do a little quick experiment, shall we? I've got this piece of paper here. It's a regular piece of paper, and as you'll see, it's about 1 foot long, 12 inches. Now, if the condor's wingspan is truly 10 feet, that would mean it would take 10 pieces of paper to make up the whole wingspan. So we're going to try a little experiment here, and I'm going to come over here where you can see me from far back, and you look at all these pieces of paper. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I taped them together. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pieces of paper taped together equals 10 feet long. Now that is really, really long. It's like as long as this entire room almost. And that, my friends, is how wide the wingspan is of a California condor, an adult condor. Of course, the babies are much smaller. Pretty interesting, right? Pretty cool. But wait, it gets even better. It gets even cooler. In fact, the California condor is not only the very largest flying bird in all of California. I'll show you here. Here's California. It is the very largest flying bird in this whole state of California, but even bigger than that, it is the very largest flying bird in all of North America. And we could see all of North America here on the screen now. California is just this part right here. Just imagine that and think how big this bird would have to be the biggest bird in this whole part of the world. There are other cool things about the California condor. For one, they only eat meat, but they don't ever eat things that are alive. They eat dead animals. Their heads are bald. You see how bald his head is, and it's bald for a reason, because if there were feathers on their heads, they would get very messy when they eat. You know how we vacuum our houses to keep them clean? Think of condors as nature's vacuum cleaner. They clean up our environment by eating things that are no longer useful to anything else, like animals that are no longer alive. Now, so you remember we were talking about how sometimes animals can be extinct and disappear from the earth. The last thing I want to share is how this almost happened to the California condor. A little more than 30 years ago, it was a very sad situation because after 40,000 years of flying the skies, all but a few Californias disappeared. They were gone. Less than 30 remained in the world, and most of those were in zoos being cared for by people. At that time, a little more than 30 years ago, only 5 left were flying in the wild. Imagine that, 5, that's all. Scientists and other people were very worried about the remaining California condors, knowing if we did nothing, that they would certainly disappear forever. So they trapped all 5 birds, removed them from the wild so that they could be carefully cared for. These condors that they caught did very well in captivity and were safe from harm. They were well fed. And after many years of taking care of these beautiful birds, many new baby condors arrived. So many, in fact, the people that were caring for them decided that it was time to begin setting them free back into the wild once again. It worked, because today the California condor is doing so much, much better. Remember when there used to be only 5 of these birds left in the world? Now, there are about 500 condors. And every year, there are more and more and more. So this ends our short lesson today about the California condor. Since you live in California, Chickenhead hopes that one day you will get to see one flying in the skies above us, and that after today, you will remember their special story. And until next time, NP3 mateys, keep on clucking.